Hey, what's up everyone? Thanks so much for stopping by. Knife review time today, and we're going to be taking a look at an offering from Kershaw. Today's topic, the Kershaw Cryo. This is a relatively recent addition to Kershaw's catalog, a joint collaboration between the famous Rick Hinder, well-known knife designer, and Kershaw Knives. But before we get too much into that, as always, let's jump right into the specifications. Close length comes in at 3 3/4 inches. Blade length, 2 3/4 inches. Overall length, 6 1/2 inches. Weight, 4.1 ounces. Blade steel, HCR 13 MOV. Handle material, 410 steel with titanium carbonitride coating. This knife does feature a integral frame lock, which you've seen probably on many different higher end knives, such as the Chris Reeve Sebenza. He more or less invented the frame lock. This is just your standard traditional style frame lock knife. Very cool. The pocket clip on this is definitely something that would catch most people's eye. As I have noted in many of my previous videos when I've discussed Kershaw knives, I've basically just not been a fan of a lot of the pocket clips that they put out. I just feel that it makes the knife protrude way too far from the pocket. And they seem to have listened to, complaints such as mine, not me in particular, but just in general, where folks just were not happy with the particular types of pocket clips that they were putting out. And they seem to have changed their ways and kind of gotten with the program, so to speak, and done more modern style pocket clips. In this particular case, they've done what's called a bowed or ribbon pocket clip, where it loops around so that the seam of your pants sits right there on the edge of the clip, and it sits ultra low in your pocket, which I will show you in detail in the care review section of this review. This knife does feature a flipper along with Kershaw's proprietary speed safe technology. Pretty fast deployment on this guy, pretty much the same with any speed safe knife from Kershaw. You just give a little tap and it just flies out very, very quickly. I will point out that while this knife does feature dual thumb studs, just the standard kind of pagoda almost shape, pyramid, Mayan pyramid shaped thumb studs. I don't really see a point for these because you can see, guys, I'm putting my thumb behind this. I'm actually putting a pretty decent amount of pressure behind it, and I can't get it to open that way. One would think that they would maybe act as blade stops, but as you can see right there, they're not touching the handle, ladies and gents, so I definitely don't think that that's their purpose. So while I don't really have a huge objection to the thumb studs being on there, it does add a little bit of just aesthetic properties to the knife because it matches the hardware and the screws and whatnot, but they don't really serve a functional purpose, so just a point of note there. Definitely not a lightweight knife, coming in at 4.1 ounces. For 2 3/4 inch blade, that's definitely on the heavier side, at least compared to the other offerings from Kershaw in a similar blade length and similar size package. This is definitely one of the heavier knives that they offer. But the upside is, even though it is 4.1 ounces, it doesn't really feel like a super chunky knife when you hold it in your hand. I mean, it's definitely got a little bit of heft to it, but it's not something that I would call overbearing or excessive. The frame lock on this one locks up nice and tight. No up and down there. Just a really, really small hint of side to side, but I've kind of come to expect that on speed safe knives. It's just kind of a small sacrifice that I think you have to make just to have the advantage of assisted opening. When the side to side is so minimal, it honestly doesn't bother me at all. I don't really consider that a negative. The frame lock disengages pretty smoothly. You don't really have to give it a lot of pressure to get it loose, to get the knife to close. As you can see, it's open and closing, pretty smoothly there, not counting my thumb slipping off the blade, sorry about that. But really, really easy to open and close, really easy to use. Definitely one of the best examples of Kershaw being Kershaw, putting out a speed safe knife and doing their homework and making sure the quality control is front and center, and definitely does not let the customer down, in my opinion. This one is made in China, like I think pretty much all of the HCR 13 MOV Kershaw knives that they put out. It is a Chinese steel. Decent sized lanyard hole on this one. I could see that helping out the folks that have larger hands. Me personally, guys, again, I wear a large in gloves. I don't really have very big hands, and this knife fits my hand almost perfectly. This is pretty much the exact way that I want an EDC knife to fill my hand. This is very, very comfortable. Just feels really, really great when you get a good grip on it. Very, very solid feel to it. As far as the handle material is concerned, one of my concerns before actually getting to hold the knife was that the handle would be a little bit too slick. But the coating on the handle is just, with this, what they call the titanium carbonitride coating, which I believe is actually on the blade as well, because it seems to match. It's the same color. It's not definitely not grippy. It doesn't have like a G10 kind of feel to it, but it's definitely not. It's not very slippy either. It's just very positive in the hand here, and your hand doesn't slide around too much on it. It's actually very, very comfortable feeling in your hand. On the handle itself, you definitely have a pretty generous amount of jimping on this knife. You've got it under here so that it fits the swell of your fingers. You got more on top along the spine of the knife, and you actually have some along the spine of the blade there too. So I really don't think you have to worry much about this knife slipping out of your hand. Definitely a very positive feel. Jimping is not too aggressive to the point where it tears up your hands, but definitely a very positive feeling when you kind of lock it into your palm like that. Going back to the pocket clip, again, Kershaw has definitely done their homework on this one. Not only is this available in tip-up configuration, which a lot of the previous Kershaw knives have not been, but this is four-way adjustable. You've got tip-up, tip-down, left, and right, so they've got absolutely everyone covered on this knife as far as carry options are concerned, so absolutely outstanding job with that Kershaw. Very cool. The blade itself, a drop point style blade, high hollow grind, relief on the edge there, nice and backed up, so you got a lot of cutting surface. You don't really have to worry too much about that. This thing seems to do the task pretty well. Very attractive, and I think just aesthetic, very pleasing sweep right there. Just gives the knife a little bit of character. Pretty thick as far as the initial part of the spine right there, but it tapers, like I said, to a rather acute point. So again, very, very handsome knife, pretty attractive package altogether. Okay, we'll do a few quick size comparisons here. We'll bring in a fellow Kershaw alum, Kershaw Oh So Sweet. Bring in a Spyderco Persistence, very similar in size. And we'll bring in an old fan favorite, CRKT Drifter. Let's get into the carry view here. As I mentioned earlier, this has the ribboned or bowed pocket clip, which is something new to Kershaw. And as you can see, it sits nice and low in your pocket there. It does not protrude at all. All the previous complaints I've made about some of the other Kershaw knives just absolutely disappears with this one, just like it disappears into your pocket. Like I mentioned earlier, this is a 4.1 ounce knife, so it's a little bit on the heavier side, especially for its blade size and handle size. But since it's not a big chunky knife, it doesn't really fill your pocket all that much. You don't have a problem, at least I don't, getting my hands in my pockets. And it seems to carry really well. You don't really notice the 4.1 ounces very much. It just seems to kind of meld into your pocket, and you honestly forget it's there half the time. So on that one, Kershaw, excellent job. Alright, we'll do a quick cutting demonstration here, working with a factory edge, and I've carried this one quite a bit, so we'll see how it holds up. Pretty damn outstanding. Good job, Kershaw. Bottom line on the Kershaw Cryo, this was named 2012's Best Buy of the Year from Blade Magazine. And as far as this guy's concerned, they hit the nail squarely on the head. $30 price point, Rick Hander design, frame lock knife, 4-way adjustable lowrider pocket clip. Guys, you really can't go wrong with this. I mean, this is just, I'm just absolutely floored by how well the execution of this knife is. This, in my opinion, is one of the benchmarks for what an EDC knife should be. You got speed safe, you got that nice high hollow grind, feels really comfortable in your hand, and again that pocket clip, man, So glad. Kershaw, thank you for finally listening to all the folks like me bitching about the pocket clip designs, and you finally fixed it. Outstanding job. $30 price point on this, guys. Again, anyone can afford this. This is an EDC knife for virtually everyone. A little bit of a background on Rick Hinder. Before he got into knife designing, he was actually an EMT and a firefighter. And I read a little article on just the story of how he got into knives, and he apparently just kind of took the basic utilitarian functions of what he looked for in a knife and just applied that in his knife designs. And the more that I look at this knife and the more that I think about the way that I've used it and just the way that I feel about it in general, I can really see this just being just an absolute basic utility folder. I mean, this is just kind of the quintessential every man throw in your pocket everyday carry knife, and I think that's really why I'm so drawn to it, is just because of its simplicity. It's just a very elegant knife, but at the same time it's just a practical knife, something that anyone could use. I want to go ahead and thank everyone so much for taking the time to watch this review. I hope you have found it informative and entertaining. For all the best gear, knives, flashlights, you name it, go ahead and check out www.whitemountainKnives.com and make sure to enter discount code MJF to get 10% off your order, and it's free shipping inside the United States. Again, thanks so much for watching, guys. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you next time.